Rain lashed against the glass windows of St. Vincent Hospital as the city drowned in thunder. Inside the intensive care unit, a team of doctors rushed around a pale, unconscious woman. Monitors screamed as they fought to pull her back from the brink of death. That woman was Clara Wells, 34, the youngest female CEO of a billion-dollar tech company. Once the symbol of success and control, now lying powerless under harsh white lights. Her car had been hit by a drunk driver on the bridge. Internal bleeding, multiple fractures, and a weak pulse. The doctors tried everything: defibrillators, blood transfusions, surgeries, but her body wasn't responding. The attending physician finally stepped back, sweat dripping down his temples. "She's not stabilizing," he whispered. "We're losing her." Outside the glass wall, Clara's assistant sobbed into her hands. Security men, reporters, and executives flooded the hallway. The company's fate, the press frenzy, all suddenly meaningless in the face of death. And then, somewhere in the same hospital, a janitor named Ethan Cole, 38, mopped the floor quietly, unaware that fate was preparing to throw him into Clara's world. A single father, exhausted but gentle, he worked double shifts to pay for his 7-year-old daughter's heart medication. When Ethan passed by the ICU, he froze. On the monitor, Clara's heartbeat flattened into a straight line. Doctors shouted, "We're losing her." For a split second, he felt something deep inside. A pull, a strange flash of recognition. He didn't know why, but her face looked familiar, like a memory from a dream. The hallway went silent. A doctor removed his gloves, whispering the words everyone dreaded. Time of death, 9:46 p.m. Ethan gripped his mop tighter. His daughter's words from the night before echoed in his head. "Daddy, sometimes miracles happen when you really believe." And in that moment, he did something no one expected. He stepped inside the ICU without permission. "Sir, you can't be in here," a nurse shouted, but Ethan ignored her. He dropped his mop, his hands trembling as he approached Clara's still body. The doctors backed away, confused and angry, but something about his eyes, wild, desperate, stopped them from dragging him out immediately. He whispered under his breath, "Don't take her yet. Please, not like this." Ethan had seen too much death. His wife had died 3 years ago from a condition doctors had called untreatable. He had begged them to keep trying, but they gave up, just like now. Something in him snapped. He placed his hand gently over Clara's cold fingers. The head doctor sighed. "Sir, she's gone." Security. But before he could finish, Ethan began pressing against Clara's chest, not like a trained medic, but with the rhythm of a man clinging to hope. "Come on," he murmured, tears sliding down his cheeks. "Breathe, just breathe." The doctors exchanged looks, partly pity, partly disbelief. But then, as the seconds ticked by, the monitor beeped once. Just once. Everyone froze. "Did you see that?" a nurse gasped. Ethan didn't stop. "You hear me? You fought too hard to die now." The monitor beeped again, then again. The doctors jumped into action, reattaching wires, checking vitals. Her pulse returned faintly. She's back," one of them shouted. Ethan stumbled backward, shaking, his shirt soaked in sweat and tears. Clara's eyes fluttered for a moment, barely open, but enough to see the silhouette of a man standing over her. Later that night, after being questioned and warned by hospital security, Ethan sat outside the ICU, head in his hands. He didn't know how or why, but he had brought her back. And when Clara woke up the next morning, her first words were, "Who was that man?" Days passed. Clara's recovery stunned every medical expert. "It's medically impossible," her surgeon muttered. She had no pulse for nearly 3 minutes. The media called it a miracle comeback. But Clara couldn't stop thinking about the man who had held her hand that night. Her assistant said his name was Ethan Cole, a janitor. She requested to meet him. The hospital hesitated. It was unprofessional, they said. But Clara insisted. When Ethan entered her private room, he looked uneasy, holding his cap in both hands. "You're the man who saved me," she said softly. "I didn't do much, ma'am," Ethan replied, eyes down. "I just couldn't walk away." Clara studied him, his worn uniform, tired eyes, the deep grief hiding beneath his calm tone. "Why did you do it?" she asked. He hesitated, then whispered, "Because I know what it feels like to lose someone when doctors say there's no hope." Her heart ached at the pain in his voice. That night, she couldn't sleep. Something inside her, something more than gratitude, began to stir. The billionaire CEO who had everything suddenly felt small before a man who had nothing but heart. She ordered her assistant to find out everything about Ethan Cole. Ethan's life was simple but heavy. His daughter, Lily, was everything to him. Every extra hour he worked went toward her hospital bills. But when Clara visited his small apartment one evening, unannounced, his world turned upside down. "Ms. Wells," he stammered, "you shouldn't be here. I wanted to thank you properly," she said, glancing around the modest home. Lily ran up to her, curious. "You're pretty," she said innocently. Clara smiled for the first time in weeks. They sat together, and Ethan told her about Lily's weak heart, the unpaid bills, the nights he thought about giving up. Clara listened, really listened, something she hadn't done in years. "You saved me," she said softly. "Let me save you now." He shook his head. "I don't want charity." "It's not charity," she said. "It's what you deserve." Over the next days, Clara paid for Lily's treatment, arranged a better job for Ethan at her company, and slowly, unexpectedly, grew close to both of them. But fate had other plans. A rumor began spreading among her board members that the CEO had fallen for a janitor. And soon, the same world that once worshipped her began to turn against her. The tabloids erupted. "CEO in secret affair with hospital janitor," screamed the headlines. Shareholders demanded her resignation. Clara's empire trembled. When she called Ethan to her office, he saw the exhaustion in her eyes. "They want me out," she whispered. "I'll disappear," Ethan said. "They can't take what you built because of me." But Clara shook her head. "You gave me life, Ethan. I won't lose myself again trying to please people who never cared." Still, the pressure mounted. Lily's condition worsened. Clara faced the cruel choice: her company or the man and child who reminded her what being human meant. Then, one evening, Clara collapsed again, stress-induced heart failure. This time, it was Ethan rushing her to the ER. He stood by her side as doctors panicked just like before. But when they said, "We might lose her," Ethan took her hand again and whispered through tears, "You brought light into my daughter's world. Now fight to stay in it." And just like before, her heart began to beat again. Clara's second recovery silenced every critic. The story went public, not as scandal, but as legend. The CEO saved twice by the same poor man she once didn't know. Months later, she stepped onto the stage of her company's annual meeting. Ethan stood quietly in the crowd with Lily. Cameras flashed as she announced, "I've learned that leadership isn't about power, it's about heart. And the man who taught me that is here tonight." Gasps filled the room. She pointed to Ethan. "This man reminded me that compassion changes the world more than any prophet ever will." The hall erupted in applause. Afterward, under the soft city lights, Clara walked up to him. "You saved my life twice," she said. "Now let me spend mine proving it was worth saving." He smiled faintly. "You already did." As Lily laughed beside them, the skyline shimmered, not with wealth, but with the quiet power of love, faith, and redemption. For the world, it was the story of a CEO and a janitor. But for them, it was proof that sometimes, miracles come from the most unexpected hands.